Hello, everybody. Welcome to Life in the Fasting Lane podcast. Each week, we come right back at you to educate you, challenge you, encourage you along your journey with intermittent fasting and low-carb feasting. You can check us out at fastinglane.com, on Twitter, on Instagram, all at Fasting Lane. Our guest this week is a little bit different. So typically we have a doctor or a scientist or a fitness expert or a workout guru or a nutritionist. But there was a lady I saw online and her name is Greta Lee Jackson. She is an Australian comedian based in Los Angeles. She writes, directs, performs, and edits comedy content for television and online. And I was just completely intrigued by her. So Greta, thank you so much for talking with me today.
No problem.
So I know, guys, you're like, why, Eve, do you have a comedian on your show? Well, I'll tell you why. We're going to post this video within the podcast. But Greta posted a hilarious video on Facebook and basically everywhere that talked about how breakfast is a scam. I have always wanted to be a comedian. Greta is living my dream. I found her really intelligent and riveting and adorable. And so, Greta, that's why I reached out and asked you to be on a podcast about fasting. What are you doing that you're on a podcast about fasting? What were you thinking, Greta, saying yes to this?
Well, first of all, just I love podcasts and I say yes to pretty much all of them because I'm addicted to them. But I don't see any harm in spreading the awareness that breakfast isn't all it's cracked up to be, despite what we've been told. I think it's the more we can get that word out there, the better for people.
I agree. And I would say until 2 years ago when I discovered fasting, I thought that breakfast was really important. I even thought that the sooner I could start eating each morning, the sooner I revved up my metabolism. I started my engine burning food. I'd had that description from doctors, from nutritionists, and I always ate breakfast as soon as possible. So it seems like you spent like a pretty long time because you had a lot of information, and it looks like you spent a long time researching the history of breakfast for the video. So like, how long did you research it? Where did you get the facts from?
It's strange. I probably spent about a week researching it. The video was done for a television program called The Feed on SBS in Australia. And they asked me to do some contributor pieces. It's a news and current affairs / comedy show. So I have worked on news shows before and I wasn't quite wanting to do really newsy stuff, but I still wanted to do topical stuff that would relate to people without necessarily being a news story. So I just decided that this new thing I'd been on that my brother told me about, my youngest brother, he's like, yep, I'm not eating breakfast. And he just dropped all this weight. And I was like, oh, hold on, maybe there's something to this. And then there was a lot of literature about 16-8 and I started reading about 16-8. And also that got me down the rabbit hole of the whole Kellogg's thing. And so I just decided to do that video for The Feed based on the research I'd already done.
So at that point, like you were still eating breakfast. This was like an assignment for you for work and you did the research and where'd you find your facts? Were most of them from online, like sources online?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I've been to naturopaths, I've been to nutritionists and, you get about 1 million different answers depending on the type of person you're going to. So I don't know. I just think in these situations, people will disagree with this, but making your own informed judgment by looking at both sides.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that, I am a fan of low carb. I am a fan of keto. I am a fan of intermittent fasting. But I have friends who do completely different stuff. They eat 3 meals a day. They're vegetarians. They found perfectly healthy ways for them. And like, I completely respect that. And only we live in our own body and can figure out what the heck feels great. But I've been pretty fat my whole life.
Oh, same.
Yeah. And like breakfast has never really made me any hotter or getting any skinnier or feeling any better. And now that I rarely eat breakfast, I feel much better. I've lost a lot of weight. And, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I'm just freaking hungry. Like, I have got to eat. And that happened this morning. And I ate eggs and bacon and it was glorious. So,
yeah, that's it. So it's not a hard and fast rule. And that's what I like about it. If you really, really want something, every so often, it's totally fine because that's how the cavemen did it.
yeah. So you're looking into all these facts and you're looking at it, you're looking into breakfast, and then you're like, okay, breakfast is really a scam. What first made you decide, what facts came across that you were like, wait, this is just crap?
So I came across that video. I live under a flight path. If you can hear a plane going across my house, that's what that is. Intermittent Fasting Transformational Technique by Cynthia Thurlow. It was a TEDx talk.
Nice.
A few people actually, it was all coincidence because a couple of people posted that on my Facebook around about the same time I was starting. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's not just me. There's other people doing this. And that was where I started to go down the route of trying to find out the stuff about Kellogg's. So I can't exactly remember the exact turning point, but just the more I read, the more there was like, cereal was invented to, stop crazy people wanking, as we say, in Australia.
All right, let's clear that up because us Americans don't all know what wanking means. So the formal word, she's saying that cornflakes were really an invention to curb masturbation.
Which was totally an invention from him because he was so anti-sex, this Mr. Kellogg. So it was just this whole marketing ploy. And if you pay the right, and we're still seeing the effects of it now, you pay the right health publications the right amount of money and they'll support whatever you're putting out there, regardless if it's healthy or not. So he paid a health magazine to spruik this idea that breakfast is the most important of the day, and that's where it stuck. It's like every American family and has lived by that for the better part of 50 years, and cereals and all this sort of stuff. I mean, cereals is a whole other thing, don't get me started on that. Yeah. But I can't remember the exact point, but at some point I did just discover this whole thing, and I was like, Kellogg's marketing scam. Oh wow, okay. And yeah, I can't pinpoint it. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I mean, I had never heard that cornflakes were invented to stop our dirty habits and thoughts. I don't feel like it's been very effective in the treatment of masturbation. So I was glad that you brought that discussion forward for that. Okay. So you mentioned in the video that fasting is natural, not a new invention. I am a girl from the US, from South Louisiana, where, let me tell you, fasting does not happen for most people. We eat everything. We eat some of the best food in the world. We enjoy it. All of my socialization, all of my life, every family celebration, every just dinner and breakfast was surrounded by love and great food. And fasting, like, I had never heard of it except for a few friends who were Buddhist or Muslim. And I would just look at them and be like, I know you're doing it for religion and I respect that, but oh my gosh, you're going to starve. Like, you're hurting your metabolism. Greta, I am saying this stuff weighing like 280 pounds, 290 pounds, and they're healthy and fit. And I look back and just think, what an idiot I was, right? Like, here are people doing something for their religion of choice and accidentally, I'm using quotes here in the air, healthy a lot of times because of fasting. And I really had this belief that if I didn't eat for 5 days, I would die. Like, I just had this fact in my head, like,
it's not being an idiot. It's not being an idiot. It's, I know you feel like that, but that's not what it is. It's just that, and Australia is similar. It's catching up. I think it's the second most obese country in the world. Wow. After you guys, but it's which is saying something because there's a lot less of us. But like it's just this pervasive cultural belief that is fed into us since we were little. Like, I grew up in the 80s. I was a kid in the 80s, born in the 80s and early 90s. What the hell? And I cover this in the video. Well, not cover it, but I mention it. What the hell was that gosh darn food pyramid all about? What a lie. You know the food pyramid?
Yes.
We had that on our every single cereal box. So it's the first thing we saw as kids because it was before mobile phones. So, of course, you'd read the cereal box. and you'd pour over this information. There it is. Please have more bread and pasta than you do fruit and vegetables.
Yep.
Like, and so it's not being an idiot. It's being forced, well, for want of a better term, force fed these cultural norms and beliefs that people just accept. And there's no reason to go and seek your own answers. There's no reason to go and question the cultural norm, because why would everybody be telling you something wrong? And it's only when you get to your 30s that you're like, hold on, this ain't working, you know. And I've been on diets forever, like forever. I've done Weight Watchers. There's a personal trainer who has a diet and exercise plan here, app called Michelle Bridges. Like, I've tried juice cleansers. I've tried the lemon detox. Every single one of these just like made me weak and sick and crazy, and I would just gorge afterwards. This is the only time something has worked for me, and I'm getting back to my body that I had before I started having all these problems. This is like, I'm talking like 10 to 15 years of fad diets, and this is the only thing that's working. And it took me just to stop. Like, I was even saying to my brother, who looked great, like similar situation to you, oh, but breakfast is the most important meal of the day. He just flat out, no, it isn't.
Absolutely.
No, it isn't. And then when I was like, maybe I should question that at age 35, that I was like, oh my God, this is a complete lie, and people are profiting off these lies. That's why we're being told them. If you want to get all tinfoil hat, you know.
Congratulations on your success, Greta. I'm really pumped
thanks.
for you. And look, don't feel bad that you were 30 something. I was 40 something, and I had every diet under the sun, every therapist, every trainer, and 3 bariatric surgeries. So you did way better than I did. And all of it was just to like fix my broken, what I perceive to be this broken body and mind, right? Like, I'm so damn hungry. I am so hungry all the time. What is it? What is it? What is it? And I just thought I was broken, and no doctor could figure out why. And they had their theories. It's a serotonin level.
You feel so guilty.
You feel like such a freaking loser. And then you go out in your life and everything else you're a badass at. And then you just want to shove food in your face because you're so dang hungry and you can't overcome it. And it's shameful and annoying, and you look crappy in a dress, and it just sucks. So So you fast now, right?
I do.
Tell me what you do.
Okay, so I do the 16-8, and incidentally, I just got my mother on it too, who's in her 60s. Again, nothing was working for her, and she's so stoked, and she just wants to keep going because every week she just drops another kilo, and her doctor is so happy. She had to make a change basically, and she wasn't sure how to do it, and I was like, well, you should do what I'm doing. Yes. And she's so happy. Finally, something's worked for her. Similar thing. But your question was, what do I do? Okay, so I just get up in the morning and I have a big glass of water. Then I have if I've got it, like I try, like it's expensive, but I try and do it more often than not. I have a celery juice, and then I just have more water and black coffee till about, and I try and have double the amount of waters as I do black coffee.
What's a celery juice? Like a big bag of celery squash in a juice?
Like you just juice celeries. Yeah. You just get celery sticks and juice them and have a little celery juice.
Is that good? That sounds terrible.
It's look, the feeling it gives you is really good. It doesn't taste nice.
All right. I'm with you.
I have a little supplement that I can have on an empty stomach that tastes like really, really nice pineapple, and I put a little bit of that in to sort of take out but the feeling it does to you, it's great. It's really cleansing and fixes up a yucky gut. And then I try and have double as many waters as black coffees, but I probably only have like 1.5 coffees. And then I start eating at about 11:30, 12. Okay. And then I will have usually, I'm not always great, but because that's kind of why I like this fasting thing, because it sort of, even if you're not eating amazingly, it's still going to work more or less, you know, even if you slip up, you don't have the shame. Because you haven't overeaten, you're still pretty much going to be likely within the calorie limit for your day. Whereas if you had breakfast, you wouldn't be. So I usually have just like a poke bowl salad with fish and rice and vegetables and stuff like that, or something I've meal prepped, again, like vegetables and a protein there. And and then I'll eat again. Yeah, about 6 o'clock, and yeah, that's it. I have less food that way. Like, I was working in daily television a year ago, and I was eating the whole day. I'd have two breakfasts. I'd have a breakfast before I came to work, and then I'd work my guts out on a story, and then eat again, and then lunch, and then snacks at 4 o'clock, and then dinner. And I was eating all day, because I thought it was because of my mental energy. And it's because I was eating so much and my appetite was out of control.
So how do you handle it now when you're on set and there's the food out? Like, they put the food out for everybody. How do you do that?
They do that for you guys because you guys are America.
Oh, they don't put food out for y'all?
Oh, especially not if you're working with public television. SBS is public. I mean, I don't want to criticize them. It's not their fault. It's the government funding towards our public stations like ABC and SBS. There's no money. Like, you have to bring your own snacks. But on set catering, it's not a big deal. I just won't have the breakfast. So I've got to shoot next week, and then I just go crazy at lunch. And again, I thought that I wouldn't be able to do this, that I would panic, and the food would be there and it'd be free, and I'd be like, I have to have it. But it's just, you get a little bit high with this thing. You're like, oh, see how long I can push it. I feel really good. Yeah. So how do I guess I just go crazy at lunch knowing it's coming. I'm not because I've been doing it for a while, I'm not feeling that debilitating lightheaded hunger in the mornings. I'm just not.
Yeah, I think when you start doing this, it feels like crap. And then people think it's going to be like that forever. And it's not. No. Like, also, when I started and I saw other people eating and I wasn't supposed to eat and I didn't feel so good, I really didn't like them. And I was like really jealous, especially of children with ice cream. And I wanted to steal their ice cream from them. And now I dislike them less. I'm more forgiving. I don't swipe ice cream from children or dislike them. So I'm just becoming a better person, Greta. I don't know.
I just think the fasting makes you want that stuff less, inevitably.
Yeah, I think
weirdly.
You're right too.
Yeah.
That's probably it. All right. So you do fasting, you skip breakfast. Do you ever fast for longer than that?
A couple of times I'll push it to about 3 o'clock and have like one meal, but that's less often. But yeah, sometimes. Okay. But I know people that are doing 24 hours. So
are you reaching your goal? Like, are you hitting the goals that you had for yourself and the weight you wanted to lose and the health you wanted to have?
I get a bit scared of the scales, so I don't really set goals, but I just go for general feeling and how my clothes are feeling on me and stuff like that, and stuff that I couldn't fit into last year is like loose, so which is good. So
it's loose. That's amazing. I want people to hear this, Greta, because I have done fasting where I skip breakfast, and I have done 11 days of fasting, and I have done everything in between. And I think that when people fast, so many times they're like, oh, I'm going to have to do 3 days. I'm going to have to do 4 days. I'm going to have to do a week. I'm going to have to do this. And it's just not true. That is an extreme case for people who are usually with medical care and want to do something really extreme. But I think, honestly, if people would look at it, a lot of people could reach their goals doing what you're doing. They set their goal for themselves. It's a weight, it's a measurement, it's a dress, it's whatever it is, right? It's getting your diabetes off your medication. And by just taking, which I think is the second smallest step, I think the first step to fasting is stop snacking, right? Like you stop snacking and you have 3 meals first. Then the second step is, if you want to go further and you didn't reach your goals, stop eating breakfast, period.
Just see how much longer you can push it per day. Maybe you get to 8 o'clock, maybe you get to 8:30, then next day you get to 9, and ease yourself into it. And that's what's so good about it. It's not like this day you have to do that and you didn't do it, so you failed. It's just like, go at your own pace and get yourself into it the way you feel comfortable. And one day if you feel like breakfast, that's fine, because you haven't broken your diet.
Exactly. So Greta did it by doing 16-8, by stopping having breakfast. She feels healthier. She looks even cuter than she was before. And I think you guys can do it too. So Greta, I haven't ever had a comedian on before. First of all, how does one even live the life where it sounds very glamorous to me. How did you become a comedian?
Oh, how did I become? Well, I sort of didn't know that I would ever do anything else. And I'm not a comedian in the sense of, like, I used to do stand-up, but I don't really do that anymore because I found it quite lonely. Yeah. I'm a YouTube person, and I've grown up doing like sketch comedy and working in teams and collaborating. So I prefer on-screen stuff because you have a team behind you and you have other people. And I've done the stage thing and it's amazing and it's really challenging, but it's not really for me to go up through the ranks that way. But how did I become it? I guess I just, I couldn't do anything else really. I didn't really question it.
That's incredible. I love that. I want you to tell everybody where they can watch your stuff online, how they can find you on social media, where they can watch this video. Tell them everything. And we're going to put these posts in the show.
Sure. Okay. So basically, I'm Greta Lee Jackson everywhere, like on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, GretaleeJackson. And you can follow, and on Facebook as well. That's my official page where all my video content goes up. I'm going to do a new one soon about credit cards and another one about weddings. So that one should make a lot of people unhappy. So yeah, basically my videos go up to Facebook and anywhere else you could just follow me, and everything's Greta Lee Jackson.
All right, everybody, check out Greta Lee Jackson online. Greta, thank you so much for being on the show. I so appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, Eve.
Guys, thanks so much for being here on Life in the Fasting Lane podcast. You can get more tips on fasting, keto, and low carb at fastinglane.com. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at Fasting Lane. And until next time, to your health and hotness.